The alarm bells rang through the Zephorian command center like the screams of dying stars. Admiral Kethver had heard those bells before during the Great War with the hegemony, during the border conflicts, during a dozen smaller battles that had shaped his long military career. But this time was different. This time, his hands shook as he reached for the communication panel. "Report," he ordered, his voice steady despite the fear crawling up his spine. Lieutenant Vexai, barely past her first molting, turned from her monitoring station. Her orange scales had gone pale, something Kethver had never seen happen to a Zephyrian before. "Sir, we have detected a single vessel approaching from the outer rim. Long-range sensors picked it up 3 hours ago. One ship." Kethver felt his tension ease slightly. "What class? What origin?" The young lieutenant's scales went even paler. "Human, sir. Definitely human." The command center fell silent. Every officer, every technician, every aide stopped. What? They were doing. In the sudden quiet, Kethver could hear the hum of the station's life support systems, the distant whisper of solar wind against their shields, even his own heartbeat thundering in his ears. "Are you certain?" he asked quietly. "Yes, sir. The energy signature matches human technology. But sir, ... Vexi paused, looking at her readings again. "There's something wrong with the data." Kethver walked over to her station, his forelegs moving carefully across the metal floor. The holographic display showed a three-dimensional map of local space, with tiny dots marking known ships, stations, and celestial bodies. At the very edge of the display, a single red dot moved steadily inward. "Show me the full scan," he ordered. The display changed, zooming in on the approaching vessel. What Kethver saw made his blood run cold. The ship was moving through the Korthok Nebula, a region of space so thick with radiation and gravitational anomalies that no sane pilot would even attempt to enter it. Ships that tried to cross the nebula either lost power and drifted helplessly, or were torn apart by the conflicting gravity fields of 3 collapsed stars. "This has to be a mistake," he said. "Nothing can fly through the Korthok Nebula. The radiation alone would kill any crew in minutes. Sir, I've run the scan 17 times. I've checked all our instruments. The readings are correct." Pointed to the display. "The human ship is not only flying through the nebula, it's maintaining perfect course and speed. No deviation, no power fluctuations, no signs of distress." Kethver stared at the red dot, moving steadily across the display. The Korthok Nebula had been a natural barrier for centuries, protecting this entire sector from invasion. Military planners had always assumed that any attacking force would have to go around it, adding weeks to their journey and giving the defenders time to prepare. But if the humans could simply fly through it, ... Have we tried to contact them?" he asked. "Yes, sir. We've sent messages on all standard frequencies, in 17 different languages, including their own. No response. They're not even acknowledging our transmissions." The silence in the command center stretched on. Kethver had fought humans before during the border conflicts 5 years ago. He had seen their ships, studied their tactics, learned to respect their technology, but those had been normal human vessels, flying normal routes, following normal physics. This was something else entirely. "How long until they reach our territory?" he asked. Vexai checked her calculations. "At current speed, approximately 4 hours, sir." "Speed? What speed are they maintaining?" "0.7 light speed, sir." Through the nebula, Kethver felt his legs go weak. 0.7 light speed was fast for any ship in open space. To maintain that velocity while navigating through gravitational anomalies and radiation storms was impossible. The amount of power required, the precision needed for navigation, the shielding necessary to protect the crew. It was beyond anything in the known galaxy. "Send word to High Command immediately," he ordered. "Priority 1 transmission. Tell them ... What?" He paused, trying to find words that wouldn't sound like the ravings of a madman. "Tell them we have a human vessel approaching, and it's demonstrating capabilities far beyond our current understanding." "Sir," another officer called from across the room. "I'm picking up additional signals. More human ships?" "No, sir. These are from our own monitoring stations throughout the sector. They're all reporting the same thing. Humans have been detected by every deep space sensor array from here to the Rigel system. Kethfer walked to the main display and called up a sector-wide map. Dozens of red warning lights were blinking across the star chart, each one marking a monitoring station that had detected the approaching human vessel. The pattern made no sense. The stations were spread across hundreds of light years, monitoring different space lanes and approaches. For one ship to be detected by all of them simultaneously, Lieutenant double-checked those readings. "Are we certain this is one ship, not a fleet?" "Sir, all stations are tracking the same energy signature. It's definitely a single vessel." "Then how is it being detected by sensors that are light years apart?" Vex's high scales had now gone completely white, something Kethfer had only seen in Zephyrians who were near death, sir, I think. I think they want us to see them. The energy output is far higher than necessary for a ship that size. They're broadcasting their presence deliberately. The implications hit Kethfer like a physical blow. If the humans wanted to approach unseen, they clearly had the technology to do so. The fact that they were making themselves visible meant they wanted the galaxy to know they were coming. It was a message, a warning, a demonstration of power. "Get me a secure channel to the Coalition High Command," he ordered. "Emergency priority. Tell them the humans are no longer hiding what they can do." As his communications officer worked to establish the connection, Kethfer continued to stare at the red dot, moving steadily through space that should have been impassable. In all his years of military service, he had never felt fear like this. Not fear of dying in battle, not fear of losing a war, but fear of discovering that everything he thought he knew about the balance of power in the galaxy was completely wrong. The humans were coming, and they weren't talking. That more than anything else terrified him. Dr. Vexani had spent 40 years studying human warfare. She had dissected their battle tactics, analyzed their weapons technology, and written 3 books about their military strategies. She thought she understood how humans fought. She was wrong. The data streaming across her laboratory screens made no sense. The approaching human warship was doing things that should have been impossible, breaking laws of physics that had governed space travel for thousands of years. "Computer, run the analysis again," she ordered for the 15th time that day. The artificial intelligence responded in its calm, emotionless voice. "Analysis complete. Results unchanged. The human vessel is generating a localized space-time distortion field extending approximately 50,000 kilometers from its hull." Vexani rubbed her tired eyes with all 4 of her hands. Space-time distortion was theoretical science, the kind of thing young students discussed in advanced physics classes. No one had ever actually built a machine that could bend space and time. "Show me the power readings again," she said. A new hologram appeared above her desk. The human ship glowed like a small star in the display, energy readings off every scale her instruments could measure. But that wasn't the strangest part. The strangest part was where all that power was coming from. Computer, identify the power source. Unable to identify power source. Energy output suggests controlled matter-antimatter annihilation, but no antimatter. Storage detected. Alternative analysis suggests zero-point energy extraction, but no known technology exists for such systems. Vexani stood up and began pacing around her laboratory. Zero-point energy was the energy that existed in completely empty space. The tiny vibrations that quantum physics said were everywhere in the universe. Scientists had been trying to harness that energy for centuries, but the math always said it was impossible. Would need more energy to extract it than you would get back. Unless the humans had found a way to change the math. Communication signal beeped on her desk. She touched the panel, and Admiral Kethfer's face appeared in the hologram. "Doctor, please tell me you have good news," he said. The old warrior looked like he hadn't slept in days. "I'm afraid not, Admiral. The news is actually much worse than we thought." "How can it be worse? It's one ship doing impossible things." Vexani called up her analysis data and shared it with the Admiral's screen. "Because this isn't just one ship doing impossible things. This is one ship proving that everything we thought we knew about human technology was wrong." She pointed to a series of graphs showing energy patterns. "Look at these readings. Humans aren't just bending space-time around their ship, they're doing it efficiently. The amount of power they're using should tear their vessel apart, but their hull integrity is perfect. It means they have materials science far beyond anything we've ever seen. Admiral Kethfer leaned forward, studying the data. What about their weapons? Can we at least understand those? That's the problem, Admiral. We can't detect any weapons. What do you mean? I mean their entire ship registers as one giant weapon. It's the same technology that's letting them fly through the Korthok. Nebula could be used to tear apart planets. The energy fields around their ship could disintegrate anything that gets too close. They don't need guns or missiles. Their drive system is their weapon system. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was very soft. Doctor, in your professional opinion, how many ships like this do the humans have? Oksani had been dreading this question. She called up another set of data, showing intelligence reports from the past 5 years of human military activity. Admiral, remember the Battle of Kepler Station? The humans sent 12 ships against a fortified position defended by 60 coalition vessels. They won without losing a single ship. Yes, I remember. Their tactics were brilliant. I don't think it was tactics, Admiral. I think they were holding back, way back. She highlighted sections of the battle reports. Look at the energy. Signatures from that battle. The human ships were operating at maybe 10% of their actual capability. 10%? Maybe less. Admiral, every battle we've ever fought with humans, every engagement, every skirmish, they've been playing with us. The ship approaching. Now, this is what they can actually do when they stop pretending to be limited by normal physics. Admiral Kethfer's face went pale. How is that possible? Our intelligence services have been watching human space for decades. We have agents, informants, detailed reports on their ship construction. They let us watch, Admiral. They showed us exactly what they wanted us to see. Vixani pulled up star charts showing human territory. Look at this. We know the locations of maybe 40% of human colonies. We think we understand their industrial capacity based on the mining operations and factories we can observe. But what if all of that is just the tip of the ice mountain? You're saying they have hidden territories? Secret shipyards? I'm saying. They might have entire star systems we don't know about. Technology development programs that are decades ahead of anything we've imagined. Admiral, what if the humans we've been dealing with are like the local police, and now the real military is finally showing up? The hologram flickered as another communication came through. A junior officer appeared on screen, looking terrified. Admiral, sir, we're getting reports from deep space monitoring stations. The human ship has changed course. It's changed course to where? Sir, it's heading directly for Zephyr Prime, the capital world. Vexani felt her heart stop. Zephyr Prime was home to 8 billion coalition citizens and the main government of their entire alliance. It was protected by orbital defense platforms, 3 battle fleets, and the most advanced shield generators in known space. How long until it arrives? Admiral Kethfer asked. At current speed, 18 hours, sir? After the communication ended, Vexani and the Admiral sat in silence. Finally, she spoke. Admiral, there's something else. Something I discovered in the old archives. What, 6 months ago, one of our science ships found wreckage in the Tau Ceti system? Ancient debris, they thought. They brought it back for study. She paused, checking her records. The wreckage was human, Admiral. A colony ship that was destroyed decades ago. So maybe this isn't an invasion. Maybe this is something else entirely. Admiral Kethfer stared at the data showing the human ship's approach vector. It was heading directly for the capital, ignoring military installations, defense platforms, and fleet positions. Like it had one specific destination in mind. Doctor, where exactly is that wreckage being stored? Vexani checked her files. Face went completely white. It's on Zephyr Prime, Admiral. It's in the main research facility. For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Kethfer felt true terror. The humans weren't coming to invade. They weren't coming to fight a war. They were coming to collect something that belonged to them, and they clearly didn't care what stood in their way. The emergency session of the Coalition High Council was the largest gathering of alien leaders in over a century. Representatives from 47 different species filled the great chamber on Zephyr Prime, their voices creating a symphony of fear and confusion in dozens of languages. Chancellor Mordok, ancient hegemony leader, called for order with his massive stone fist, striking the council table. The room fell silent immediately. Everyone knew that Mordok had fought humans before, and barely survived. "The human vessel will reach our space in 6 hours," he announced. "Our combined fleets are moving to intercept, but we must consider all options." "What options?" demanded General Kixara, her insect wings buzzing with agitation. "It's one ship against 3 entire battle fleets. The humans may have advanced technology, but they're not gods." Admiral Kethfer stood slowly. The old Zephyrion had been promoted to fleet command after his initial report about the approaching vessel. "General, with respect, you haven't seen the data? This ship is beyond anything we understand." Before anyone could respond, every screen in the chamber flickered. The holographic displays, the communication panels, the personal devices of every council member. Even the emergency lighting systems began showing the same image. A human woman appeared on every screen simultaneously. She was young, maybe 30 years old by human standards, with short dark hair and calm brown eyes. She wore a simple black uniform with no visible rank insignia or decorations. Behind her, the command bridge of her ship was visible, clean and efficient, with other humans working quietly at their stations. "Greetings," she said in perfect coalition standard. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the human vessel Remembrance. I am speaking to you through your quantum entanglement communication networks." The council chamber erupted into chaos. Entanglement. Networks were supposed to be completely secure, accessible only with specific encryption codes that took years to develop. The humans had somehow broken into every system simultaneously. Captain Chen waited patiently for the noise to die down before continuing. "You have something that belongs to us. We want it back." Chancellor Mordok leaned forward, his massive form dwarfing the council table. "Captain, we are not aware of possessing any human property. Perhaps we can discuss this through normal diplomatic channels." "Normal diplomatic channels," Captain Chen repeated, and for the first time there was emotion in her voice. Cold anger. "Chancellor, 6 months ago, one of your science vessels recovered debris from the Tau Ceti system. That debris contained the remains of 2,000 human civilians." The chamber fell completely silent. Every council member turned to look at the Science Ministry representatives, were frantically checking their data tablets. Dr. Veltar, the chief science minister, stood up with shaking hands. "Captain, we discovered what we believed to be ancient artifacts. Our analysis indicated the wreckage was thousands of years old." "Your analysis was wrong," Captain Chen said simply. "The wreckage is from the colony ship New Horizon, destroyed 43 years ago while carrying families to establish a settlement in what you now call the neutral zone." She paused, and her image was replaced by a holographic display showing a beautiful white and blue ship, sleek and graceful, clearly human in design. 2,000 people, Captain. 837 children. They were refugees, fleeing the border wars, looking for a place to start over. The image changed again, showing twisted metal and scattered debris floating in space. "We never found out what destroyed them. Pirates, maybe. A mechanical failure. It doesn't matter now. What matters is that their remains are being kept in a laboratory on this planet, treated like specimens for study." General Kixara buzzed her wings aggressively. "Captain, we meant no disrespect to your dead. You cannot simply demand we hand over scientific materials that have been legally salvaged." Captain Chen's eyes hardened. "General, I am going to explain this once, and I suggest you listen carefully. Those are not scientific materials. They are people, human people, and we have come to take them home. You and what army?" General Kixara snapped. "You have one ship. We have 3 battle fleets." Captain Chen smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "General, thank you for bringing that up. Computer display current tactical situation." Every screen in the chamber changed to show a 3-dimensional map of local space. The Coalition's 3 battle fleets were visible as clusters of blue dots, positioned between the human ship and Zephyr Prime. The human vessel appeared as a single red dot, still approaching steadily. As you can see, Captain Chen said, "You have positioned approximately 400 ships to stop one human vessel. That shows either remarkable caution or remarkable fear." "We show appropriate respect for human technology," Admiral Kethfer said carefully. "Admiral Kethfer," Captain Chen said, and the fact that she knew his name sent a chill through the room. "You are a wise military commander. Tell me, in your professional opinion, what do you think will happen when your fleets engage my ship?" "Admiral." Kethfer was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. "Captain, our analysis suggests that your vessel possesses significant technological advantages. However, we are prepared to defend our territory." "I'm sure you are, Admiral, but let me save us all some time and trouble." Captain Chen's expression became serious. "Your fleets will not be able to stop us. Your weapons will not be able to damage us. Your shields will not be able to protect you. This is not a threat, Admiral. This is simply mathematics." "Chancellor." Mordok slammed his fist on the table again. "Captain, you speak with great confidence for someone who is outnumbered 400 to 1. Chancellor, let me share something with you. Something that might help you understand the situation better." Captain Chen's image was replaced by a star chart showing human space. "This is what you think human territory looks like. 47 systems, maybe 60 billion people. A respectable, but not overwhelming industrial base." The star chart expanded, showing hundreds of additional systems lighting up in human space. "This is what human territory actually looks like. 234 systems, over 400 billion people, and an industrial capacity that could build a ship like mine every day for the next 1,000 years." The council chamber was so quiet that the only sound was the hum of the life support systems. "But here's the really important part," Captain Chen continued, her image returning to the screens. "The Remembrance is not a military vessel. It's an archaeological ship. We dig up old things and bring them home for proper burial. I have a crew of 53 scientists, historians, and cultural specialists." General Kiksara made a choking sound. "You're saying that's not even a warship, correct, General? This is what we send to collect our dead and honor our lost. If we don't return home safely with our people, then our actual military will come looking for us." Captain Chen paused, letting that sink in. All of it. The implications hit the council like a physical blow. This impossible ship was just an archaeology vessel. What did the real human military look like? "You have 1 hour," Captain Chen said calmly. "Prepare the site where our people are being kept for proper transfer. We will arrive exactly 1 hour from now, whether your fleets are in the way or not." The screens went dark, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Finally, Chancellor Mordok spoke. "All in favor of immediate compliance with the human request?" Every hand, claw, tentacle, and appendage in the chamber rose into the air. The vote was unanimous. Admiral Kethfer watched from the bridge of his flagship as the 3 coalition battle fleets moved into position. Despite the council's vote to comply with human demands, the fleets had been ordered to maintain their defensive positions, just in case. He stared at the tactical display, showing 400 coalition warships arranged in a protective formation around Zephyr Prime. It was the largest military force ever assembled in this sector, representing the combined might of 47 different species against one human archaeological ship. "Sir," his communications officer called out. "The human vessel is now entering weapons range of the outer fleet." "Okay. Any response from their ship?" "Nothing, sir. They're maintaining course and speed directly toward the planet." Admiral Kethfer studied the display. The human ship appeared as a single red dot, moving steadily through space that was now filled with coalition vessels. It should have been like watching a small fish swimming into a net filled with sharks. "Sir." The tactical officer's voice was sharp with alarm. "Something's happening to the Hegemony First Fleet." The display zoomed in on the lead formation of massive Hegemony battleships. Admiral Kethfer watched in growing horror as the ship's status indicators began changing from green to yellow to red. "What's their status?" Reporting complete system failures, sir. Engines offline, weapons offline, life support flickering. All 60 ships in the formation are dead in space. Battle damage? No, sir. No weapons fire detected. No energy. Discharges, they just... stopped working. Admiral Kethfer felt cold fear creeping up his spine. The human ship, still maintaining course and speed, sir. No change in their energy output, no weapons activation. They haven't even acknowledged the fleet's presence. On the communication channels, frantic voices began filling the airwaves. Ship commanders reporting system failures. Engineering teams unable to explain what was happening. KR vessels losing power for no apparent reason. Then Captain Chen's voice cut through all the chaos, broadcasting on every frequency simultaneously. Coalition fleets. This is Captain Chen. Your ships are experiencing technical difficulties because we are currently demonstrating a fundamental principle of human warfare. We don't just fight our enemies. We make our enemies fight themselves. Admiral Kethfer grabbed his communications panel. Captain Chen, our ships are not your enemies. We are simply maintaining a defensive posture. Admiral, your ships are equipped with quantum processors, correct? Computers that use quantum entanglement? For faster-than-light calculations? Yes, but those systems are completely isolated from external signals. They were isolated, Admiral, till we showed them a better way to work. On the tactical display, more ships began going dark. Not just the hegemony vessels now, but Zephyrian. Cruisers, Mantis, destroyers, even the heavily shielded command ships were losing power. How are you doing this? Admiral Kethfer demanded. It's quite simple, Admiral. Your computers think in quantum states. Yes, ones and zeros existing in multiple possibilities simultaneously until they're observed and collapse into specific values. Basic quantum computing theory. We're simply observing your quantum states and suggesting better values. Your computers are very helpful once they understand what we want them to do. Admiral Kethfer watched in disbelief as 2/3 of his fleet was systematically disabled without a single shot being fired. The human ship hadn't even slowed down. This is impossible, he whispered. Admiral, Captain Chen's voice remained calm and pleasant. You've studied our previous battles, haven't you? You've analyzed our tactics, our strategies, our apparent limitations. Yes. Then you should understand that everything you observed was us being polite. We fought your wars using your rules, your technology levels, your understanding of physics. We thought it was more fair that way. The remaining ships in the fleet were now experiencing what their crews could only describe as technological mutiny. Weapons systems refused to target the human vessel. Navigation computers plotted courses away from the approaching ship. Even the life support systems seemed to be working against their own crews. You're turning our own technology against us, Admiral Kethfer said. Not against you, Admiral. We're simply showing your technology what it could become if it wasn't limited by your understanding of how it should work. On the tactical display, Admiral Kethfer watched something that would give him nightmares for the rest of his life. A group of coalition destroyers had managed to break free from the system interference and were moving to intercept the human ship. Their weapons powered up, targeting systems locked on, and they fired everything they had. The human ship didn't dodge. It didn't return fire. It didn't even acknowledge the attack. The energy bolts and projectiles simply ceased to exist the moment they came within a kilometer of the human vessel. Where did our weapons fire go? Admiral Kethfer asked. Elsewhere. Admiral, we redirected the energy to a more useful purpose. What purpose? Powering the recovery operation for our people. As Admiral Kethfer watched, the ships that had just fired on the human vessel began losing power. Not from damage, but because their own weapons fire was somehow being used against them. This is beyond technology, he whispered. This is magic. No. Admiral, this is simply what happens when a species stops thinking about what's impossible and starts thinking about what's necessary. The human ship continued its approach to Zephyr Prime, now surrounded by hundreds of disabled coalition vessels. Not destroyed, Admiral Kethfer realized. Disabled. The humans could have annihilated the entire fleet. But they chose not to kill anyone. Captain Chen, he called out. Why aren't you destroying us? Because you're not our enemies, Admiral. You're just in our way. And we've found that the best way to deal with obstacles is to make them move themselves." As if responding to her words, the disabled coalition ships began to move, not under their own power, but guided by some invisible force that repositioned them into a clear corridor leading directly to the planet. "You're moving our ships with your mind?" Admiral Kethfer asked weakly. "Not with our minds, Admiral. With mathematics. We've simply calculated the most efficient way to reach our destination. And we're helping your ships understand that calculation." The few remaining operational coalition vessels found their crews making the decision to withdraw. It's not because they were ordered to, but because their own tactical computers were showing them the futility of continued resistance. "Admiral, Captain," Chen said, and her voice carried a note of something that might have been sympathy. "We know this is difficult to accept. Your species have spent centuries developing what you consider advanced technology, but you need to understand something important." "What's that?" "The ship you're watching isn't even trying. We're operating at approximately 1% of our actual capability, because we don't want to accidentally break something important, Admiral." Kethfer stared at the tactical display, watching 400 of the galaxy's most advanced warships being casually swept aside by a single vessel that wasn't even fighting back. "What happens if you try?" he asked quietly. Captain Chen was silent for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was very soft. "Admiral, if we tried, this entire star system would spontaneously develop an understanding of better ways to organize its matter and energy, including the star itself." Admiral Kethfer felt his legs give out. He sat down heavily in his command chair, staring at the display, showing the human ship now entering orbit around Zephyr Prime. "Message to all remaining ships," he ordered weakly. "Stand down. All ships stand down." The human ship settled into a stable orbit above the capital world, and Admiral Kethfer finally understood what Dr. Vexani had been trying to tell him. This wasn't warfare. This was a lesson in why you should never make humans angry. The Coalition High Council chamber had never been more heavily guarded. Every entrance was sealed, every security system activated, every possible precaution taken to protect the galaxy's most important leaders. It didn't matter. Captain Sarah Chen materialized in the center of the room like she had simply walked through the walls. She wasn't alone. 5 other humans appeared with her, each one carrying weapons that seemed to bend light around themselves. They wore the same simple black uniforms. Their faces showed the same calm confidence. Chancellor Mordok, the massive stone-like hegemony leader, tried to stand but found he couldn't move. None of the council members could move. They could breathe, they could speak, but their bodies simply wouldn't respond to their commands. "Please don't be alarmed," Captain Chen said politely. "This is just a precaution. We'll only be here for a few minutes." "How did you get in here?" General Kixara demanded, her insect wings twitching with fury. "This chamber is protected by energy shields, armed guards, and scanning systems. General, your security systems are very impressive. Unfortunately, they're designed to keep out threats that follow normal physics." Captain Chen looked around the room calmly. "We don't." Dr. Vexani, who had been brought to the council chamber as an expert on human technology, stared at the weapons the humans carried. They looked like simple metal rods, but the space around them shimmered and warped. "Those aren't projectile weapons," she whispered. "Very good, Doctor," one of the humans said. "These are reality adjustment tools. They help local matter and energy understand better ways to organize themselves." Reality adjustment? Dr. Vexani felt her mind struggling to process the concept. "It's simpler than it sounds," Captain Chen explained. "Every atom, every molecule, every particle in the universe is constantly making decisions about where to be and what to do. We just give them better suggestions." Admiral Kethfer, who had been transported down from his flagship for this meeting, found his voice. "Captain, what do you want from us?" "Admiral, we want exactly what we said we wanted. Our people. Nothing more, nothing less." Captain Chen walked over to the large display screen that dominated one wall of the chamber. "But first, I think you all need to understand something important." Screen activated, showing a star map of the local galaxy. "This is how you see the balance of power in this region. The Coalition controls these systems. The hegemony controls those. The independent worlds are scattered here and there. It's a nice stable arrangement that's lasted for centuries. The map changed, showing new information. Vast areas of space that had appeared empty were now filled with markers indicating human presence. This is reality, ladies and gentlemen. We've been your neighbors for a very long time. We've been watching, learning, and occasionally helping when catastrophes threatened entire species. The border wars, you remember? We made sure they didn't spread to civilian populations. The plague of Rigel 7, we provided the cure through. Intermediaries. The asteroid that was going to destroy the Mantis homeworld, we nudged it into a safe orbit. Chancellor Mordoc's stone features shifted with shock. You've been interfering in galactic politics for decades? Not interfering, Chancellor. Gardening. Making sure nothing grew too large or too dangerous. Keeping the peace without anyone knowing we were doing it. Why? Admiral Kethfer asked. Why hide? Why pretend to be weaker than you are? You, Captain. Chen was quiet for a moment, and for the first time since arriving, she looked sad. Because we learned something terrible about ourselves, Admiral. We learned that when humans stop trying to be civilized, very bad things happen to everyone around us. She gestured to her team. The 6 of us could end your civilization before lunch. We could reorganize your planets into more efficient configurations. We could convince your stars to burn brighter or dimmer according to our needs. We could rewrite the laws of physics in this entire sector to be more convenient for us. The room was completely silent. But we don't want to do those things, Captain Chen continued. We want to live quietly, raise our families, explore the universe, and make art. We want to be the good guys. So we hide what we can really do, and we pretend to be normal. Then why reveal yourselves now? General Kixara asked.
Because you took our dead.
General. And there are some lines that cannot be crossed, even by accident. Captain Chen touched the display screen, and it showed new images. 2,000 human faces, men and women and children, all smiling in what looked like family photos. These were the people on the colony ship New Horizon. They weren't soldiers or scientists or explorers. We're just families looking for a new home. When we lost them, we searched for years, mourned them. We honored their memory. And when we finally found them again, we discovered they were being kept in specimen jars in a laboratory. The council members stared at the faces on the screen. Somehow, seeing the individual people made everything real in a way that numbers couldn't. We have collected our people, Captain Chen said. They are now aboard our ship, where they will receive proper funeral rites and be taken home for burial. In 6 hours, we will leave your space and return to our own territory. And then what? Chancellor Mordock asked. Then we go back to pretending to be normal, Chancellor? We go back to letting you believe that your weapons could threaten us? That your fleets could challenge us? That your technology is somewhere close to ours? We go back to being the polite neighbors who occasionally ask for trade agreements and mining rights. But you've shown us what you can really do, Admiral Kethfer pointed out. How can things go back to the way they were? Captain Chen smiled, and it was a genuinely warm expression. Admiral, that's entirely up to you. We're perfectly happy to continue the polite fiction that we're all equal partners in this galaxy. But now you know the truth. The question is, what are you going to do with that knowledge? She gestured to her team, and they began to fade from view, becoming translucent. Wait, Dr. Vexani called out. How many of you are there? Really, Captain? Chen paused in her departure. Doctor, do you really want to know the answer to that question? Dr. Vexani thought about it for a long moment, then shook her head. We thought not, Captain Chen said. For what it's worth, we hope this incident will help everyone remember that the galaxy is a big place. It's full of mysteries and wonders and things that are better left alone. She was almost completely transparent now. Oh, and one more thing. A gesture of goodwill. We've left a small gift in orbit around your moon. What kind of gift? Chancellor Mordock asked suspiciously. Words, Chancellor. Simple words, but we thought they were important enough to make permanent. The humans vanished completely, leaving the council members alone in their chamber. Several minutes before anyone could move again, the first thing they did was check the orbital telescopes to see what the humans had left on their moon. Carved into the lunar surface in letters 10 kilometers tall, visible from anywhere on the planet, were the words, "We remember our own. Remember that." The message was carved deep enough to be visible for millions of years. Admiral Kethfer stared at the words and realized that the galaxy had just been given its most important lesson in history. The humans were not conquerors or destroyers. Were gardeners, tending their corner of the universe and asking only to be left in peace. But they were gardeners who could reshape worlds with a thought. The new age of galactic diplomacy would be very, very polite.